Genocide Joe Biden is now sending 1,500 troops to Iraq and Syria. The United States claims that this is a combat mission in order to fight ISIS. You know, the same ISIS who seems to never attack Israel, but always attacks the enemies of Israel? ISIS is constantly attacking Iran. They just took credit for a terrorist attack there. ISIS is constantly attacking Assad in Syria. Meanwhile, the United States will have you believe that we are going after ISIS even though they constantly going after our enemies? Americans are so propagandized, they actually believe this nonsense. The reality is the United States don't care about ISIS, who we armed and helped created. The United States is in Syria because the United States steals around 80% of Syrian oil. This and the fact that the United States is illegally occupying their country is why we've seen United States troops attacked in these regions. In fact, we just had the Iraqi parliament for the second time in 3 years voted to expel the United States military from Iraq. So Joe Biden's response was, send 1,500 more troops. Who the fuck are they to tell us what we can do in their country? Do you guys have any idea how unhinged the average politician's ideology in Washington, D.C. is right now? The United States is ran by criminals who believe the United States can illegally occupy other countries, and then when asked to leave, we send more soldiers over there to kill innocent people. I'm tired of Americans pretending that this is normal and rational behavior. We need a new anti-war movement that creates a culture that makes it completely unacceptable to vote for and support these warmongering psychopaths.
Despite the catastrophic death toll it has inflicted, Israel is losing on the ground and in the court of public opinion. There's no way that this ends that doesn't leave Israel a pariah state with occupation and apartheid on borrowed time, and they know it. So they're doing everything they can. Desperate acts of aggression to provoke a wider conflict with Lebanon, with Iran, with anybody, to draw in the US, to save them from the consequences of their own actions. And as Yemen shows, Butcher Biden is reporting for duty. With Europe's proud genocide by his side, they are the ones who have enabled the continuation of Israeli terror. Without them, it would already be over. So take note, Butcher Biden. The ancestors of the Ireland that you claim to be from disown you. Keep our country out of your mouth. And as for von der Leyen and genocidal Germany, with your words and deeds supporting Israel in the ICJ, not in our name. The people of Europe stand with Palestine and with South Africa.
There is nothing wrong Hamas did. When you are oppressed, the only option you have is to fight. And that's what Hamas is doing. They are fighting for their freedom. Mandela did the same thing, took up the guns and fought for the freedom of the people of South Africa. When you are oppressed, you only have one option. Confront the enemy and shoot to kill. Do not kiss the enemy. Why do you want to kiss the enemy? People came, took the land of the Palestinians. Every year they extend their occupation. When you look at the map of Palestine, there is nothing left of land in Palestine. The people of Palestine have got nothing to lose but their chains. They must stand up and fight for their freedom, and condemning Hamas is an act of cowardice.
What's poppin', my friends, my family? Welcome back to another edition of Nick at Night on Tuesday. This man is on fire, and this is the exact critique that we had of the professional managerial class left. You see, the people who are using the Israel-Palestine issue, and it's good that we have people who are critical of Israel, but they are trying to use this as a way to say, oh, we are pro-Palestinian, we are against Israel. But if you condemn Palestinian resistance, I don't view you as an ally. And Crystal Ball, who been very critical of Israel, has done multiple videos that I have seen where she said that she don't support Hamas, she condemns Hamas, she falls for the Piers Morgan strategy. Why would you condemn Hamas? They are asking you to condemn the fight against colonialism. The same people who will tweet about Nelson Mandela on his birthday, for example. Like they may have a T-shirt of Nelson Mandela and shirts. They idolize revolution and what it means to oppose the system. But then whenever any group actually take up arms and oppose the system, people want to condemn them. You have white America who idolize give me liberty or give me death. These are the people who tell us with a straight face that the Second Amendment is here for us to stand against government tyranny. But the second that we protest against the police state, they call us violent thugs. They only believe that they have the right to resist oppression. When they say give me liberty or give me death, they are only saying that for white American and Europeans. You see people freaking out about what's going on in Yemen. Yemen is doing their obligation as a country that is resisting genocide. Meanwhile, they are calling them terrorists. How do people define terrorists? And I'm waiting for my guest slot so I can ask people these questions. Because you guys know I think about these things. What is a terrorist? If you say Hamas is a terrorist, what is the metric you are using for that? Are you claiming they're terrorists because they wage war? Is that your metric you are using? That if you wage war, you are a terrorist? Are you using the metric that if you kill civilians, you're a terrorist? And I'm telling you, Europeans and white America, you do not want to use those two metrics. You guys do not want to go down that rabbit hole. So imagine you're a Biden voter supporter, the butcher of Gaza, the butcher of Iraq, supported the Iraq war that displaced 2.5 million, killed 2.5 million people, displaced millions more. So if your litmus of what is a terrorist or not is based on waging war and based on civilians dead, the United States is the largest terrorist organization in human history. Based on those metrics, Israel is the greatest terrorist threat in the Middle East. Based on your metrics, Hamas is not the terrorist, it's Israel. And we're just using those metrics. Because who killed more civilians? Hamas or Israel? Hamas or Anthony Blinken? Like, this is the kind of intellectual conversation you would never hear in the mainstream, where people just say Hamas is terrorist. Define terrorist. If you're a MAGA and you're calling Hamas a terrorist, what are you talking about? Donald Trump killed General Soleimani of Iran. What would happen if Iran or any other quote-unquote terrorist group assassinated the most popular and esteemed general in the United States? If there is anything that is terrorism, that's terrorism. Kidnapping innocent villagers and sending them to Guantanamo Bay and kidnapping them, that's terrorism. But despite Western terrorism, people still vote for Joe Biden. Crystal Ball would say that you need to grow up if you don't support the Democratic Party. Olayemi is literally spreading counter-revolutionary content, saying that anyone who don't support the Democrats, anyone who advocates any solution, is toxic and violent. That's what Conscious Lee and Olayemi said, as they vote for one of the largest terrorist organizations known to man, known as the United States Uniparty, the Democratic Party, the executive branch, however you want to sum it up. However you want to sum it up. I think I'm going to get right to this next story. You have the United States that sent 1,500 soldiers to Iraq. And this after Iraq asked them to withdraw their troops. This is the second time in 3 years that the Iraqi parliament voted to expel the United States. But despite that, the United States are not only not leaving, they are sending 1,500 more troops to invade and occupy a country illegally. But tell me why tell me more about how Hamas is a terrorist organization. I actually think I'm going to get to the majority report story first, because it's not that long. I just want to cover the main story first, actually, because I think this fits in because with the Hamas rant I just went on. You have the progressive left, the Bernie Sanders left. I mean, Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland is still advocating for people to vote for the Democratic Party. You have young people, you have Muslims that are organizing to get people to leave the Democratic Party, and Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland are doing videos condemning those people, trying to make the argument why you should vote Democrat. So these people have sold out the Palestinian people. These people made the devil's bargain that if we sell out the Palestinian people, we may get small, meager gains on domestic policy, which has not happened. You guys sold out Palestinians so we can get Cop City, so we can get COVID relief money to the police, so we can get expanded ICE in detention centers, so we can get corporate bailouts, so we can get a Medicaid cut. Like, you guys sold out Palestinians on the bargain of getting lesser two evils, and we didn't even get that. So I want to get right into this because it's not long. I want to show you guys, like, this is the smear job that you see from Majority Report going after real journalists who are exposing the lies of the establishment. The Grayzone is not spending their time condemning Hamas. They are exposing the lies about the sexual assault psyop that the establishment is spreading that is manufacturing consent for a genocide. Meanwhile, if you look at the professional managerial class left, you had David Pacman. I seen Crystal Ball, I seen Kyle Kalinske. I seen everyone say, like, no, we don't support Hamas. We don't like Hamas. We condemn Hamas. Just uncritically repeating the Israeli propaganda. You had the Nation and you had the Intercept that dissed the Grayzone and smeared the Grayzone as sexist, misogynist, rape denialist. And now you got the Majority Report that you guys can see here launches an unhinged smear job on the Grayzone. So the professional managerial class left, the Bernie Sanders left, the Social Democrat left, as you guys see, as we would explain to you guys last year, they are our number one enemy because they got a message from the establishment to go after the Grayzone because they're exposing Israel. And the Nation, the Intercept, and the Majority Report raised their hand and said, we are down for this. Now listen to this. I'll play the video. I think that.
Hi, Sam and Emma, the Buzzsaw. Just wanted to let you know you're doing a great job covering the crisis in Gaza, but I recently heard from some of my leftist comrades that you have a beef with Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate. Is that true? I think they have been doing fantastic work at the Grayzone, debunking all lies and misinformation from the Israeli government. Do you disagree? What's the beef?
I don't know about their work on Israel, but I think the problem is work besides that. Like,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, they're fine when, like, they can report on. I don't know if they're fine. I can't speak to their reporting, but, like, they're reporting on on the war in Ukraine, and Russia's crimes there has been atrocious.
And COVID is an absolute joke. The way Max Blumenthal chased down Ben Norton.
So
it's a mess. I think those guys are incredible in my opinion.
I haven't followed any of their stuff since both the COVID stuff, the what was it? The white helmets were crisis actors. Is that what they were saying? Yeah. I don't know. I can't, to be honest with you, I can't remember. I do remember some of the COVID stuff. But do I have a beef with them? No, I just don't
find them credible.
Yeah.
It's not a source that I.
So Emma Vigeland hates the Grayzone because she's a NATO leftist. She says that she found the Grayzone reporting regarding Ukraine and Russia's crimes disgusting. So that's what makes her hate the Grayzone. The guests that speak in the background, I think CJ know him more than I do. I don't know who the hell that guy is, the other voice. They are upset because the Grayzone exposed the COVID narrative. They wouldn't know the establishment lied regarding COVID. The Grayzone spent their time exposing Fauci, exposing the failed policies that the government have regarding COVID. And to be honest, I don't understand how that's even disputable. Like, even if you're a COVIDian, to be honest, even if you love a jab, even if you can't wait to get your 5th booster, how can you dispute that? I talk to people who love the fucking vaccine, and I'm like, bro, even if you like the vaccine, how can you deny the fact that Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Rachel Maddow, every person in the news lied to you guys about the vaccine and transmission? This is a fact now. Fauci lied about masks. Like, the government lied to you about COVID, and I feel like that's apolitical. I feel like even if you can't wait to get the next Moderna jab into you, even if you are obsessed with science experiments on your body that hasn't been tested, if you love that shit, how can you, even if you do, why can't you acknowledge that the government got so many goddamn things wrong about COVID? How is that a hard thing to grasp? Even if you love the vaccine, they can't even acknowledge that. And they're so salty, you know, they got the order to go after and attack Grayzone because they can't even say anything good about the Grayzone. Even though, and I'm open about it, I had the Grayzone people on all the time. I plan on having them a lot coming on this year. But they exposed, Aaron Mate is an award-winning journalist. Max Blumenthal, award-winning journalist. They have done amazing things in Gaza. Aaron Mate did an amazing job exposing the Syrian gas attack lie, and that is why the majority report hates them, because the majority report got that story wrong. So as they smear the Grayzone in this video clip, I want to ask you guys this question. What story has the majority report ever got out in front, ahead of the establishment, taking attacks from the establishment, and then they would vindicate it later? Don't worry, I'll wait. Tell me one time where the majority report led the way. I try to stop bragging, I know I do that too much, but we talk about all the time how RBN was out there first and we was vindicated. They never do that. When you watch majority report, you are watching MSNBC. For young people, they use more hip language. They may use like meme language. They talk in a way that Zoomers or younger millennials may find appeasing. I don't know. I don't get it. But I guess that's their audience. So as Sam Seder and them attacked the integrity of the Grayzone, you had Sam Seder that go on MSNBC. And what does Sam Seder do? What do he do on MSNBC? I covered this before. As Sam Seder attacks everyone. He attacks Jimmy. He attacks the Grayzone. He called other people right wing, and they are openly NATO leftists. Actually, I want to play that part again before I get to this part, because I'm gonna explain to you guys how Sam Seder, as they attack Grayzone for not being credible, Sam Seder went on MSNBC and pushed Russiagate. You know, the long since debunked Russiagate, he still hasn't apologized for that. Imagine you go on MSNBC, you got a platform to talk about whatever you want. You can talk about healthcare, you can expose Israel, you can expose the war machine, and you spend your time talking about Russiagate? And you think you got the journalistic high ground over other people? I won't play this part again because I want you guys to see this is the real reason why they hate the Grayzone, not because of reporting, because they expose the empire in which they are invested in. I want to point out Emma's part. So we play it one more time, and I'll break it down. I'll play it all the way through the first time.
Hi, Sam and Emma, the Buzzsaw. Just wanted to let you know you're doing a great job covering the crisis in Gaza, but I recently heard from some of my leftist comrades that you have a beef with Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate. Is that true? I think they have been doing fantastic work at the Grayzone, debunking all lies and misinformation from the Israeli government. Do you disagree? What's the beef?
I don't know about their work on Israel, but I think the problem is work besides that. Like,
Exactly. I mean, they're fine when like they can report on. I don't know if they're fine. I can't.
You see how she can't even give them a compliment. You can't even say this. We just roasted. We destroyed Olayemi this week, right? But I at least said Olayemi is good on policing. I will admit that. That which initially let me in, and then I realized she was a sellout. But like, oh, she good on policing, but she suck. They can't even say that they're good on Gaza. I try to remember the name of Max Blumenthal's film. War on Gaza. fuck, I'm blanking on it. Max Blumenthal has a documentary he made on Gaza. Anyone in the comment remember the name of the documentary? Gaza's burning. No, that's Abby Martin. Abby Martin got one. I know Max Blumenthal got one. So I'm blanking on the mini documentary that Max Blumenthal made. But you guys can't even say they did good work on that. And you guys notice how vague they are being. This is what they do to us all the time. Whenever people attack us, people say, "Oh, RBN always lies." What? Give me an example. They never give examples when they attack real anti-establishment figures. And I was when you pay attention, look how vague their criticisms of the Grayzone are.
Have a beef with Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate. Is that true? I think they have been doing fantastic work at the Grayzone, debunking all lies and misinformation from the Israeli government. Do you disagree? What's the beef?
I don't know about their work on Israel, but I think the problem is work besides that. Like,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, they're fine when like they can report on. I don't know if they're fine. I can't speak to their reporting, but like they're reporting on what has on the war in Ukraine, and Russia's crimes there has been atrocious.
And
so Emma Vigeland is upset because the Grayzone has exposed the NATO leftist agenda. And now, what part of the Grayzone reporting in Ukraine are you upset about, Emma Vigeland? Are you upset that the Grayzone exposed the fact that there are Nazis in Ukraine? Are you upset about that? Are you upset about the fact that the Grayzone exposed the fact that the United States declined a peace deal in Ukraine? Your government did that, not the Grayzone. You realize that there was a peace deal on the table and Joe Biden spiked it, and now we have 500,000 dead Ukrainians and a war lost. Even the New York Times, even CNN has admitted that the war in Ukraine has lost. You guys wasted 500,000 Ukrainians for no reason. In fact, Ukraine would have retained more territory if you guys would have taken the peace deal that Biden and Boris Johnson struck down. But you guys are more upset at the Grayzone for exposing that information than the government that actually struck down a peace deal that cost 500,000 Ukrainians. These people are morally bankrupt. And the enemy of the truth, they were upset because the Grayzone told the truth about Ukraine. You know what's the real truth? Going on MSNBC and pushing Russiagate. I'm kind of mad at myself, kind of spoiled. I kind of spoiled my punchline earlier when I went out of order. But this is what I covered. This is a segment I did over a year ago, so I can do it again. Remember when Sam Seder went on MSNBC to push Russiagate? How did these people's credibility ever recover from this? And I actually have the segment, and we're going to watch it. So I told you guys before, if MSNBC fucked up and they ever offered me a show on MSNBC,
good evening from New York.
You guys get mad at me all you want, but I would take that shit in a heartbeat. I would take that shit in a heartbeat. And I would have a show for all but 20 minutes before they pull my plug my show halfway through. People be like, "Oh my God, Nick sold out to MSNBC." I'm like, wait, fam, listen, wait, hold up. I got a plan. Don't worry about it. I got you. Because if I had a show on MSNBC, I would expose stuff like Operation Condor. I would do a segment, Operation Condor, get an expert that's more smarter than me. Let's talk about the reign of terror in Central America that killed and tortured thousands of socialists. Let's talk about the Cuban blockade. Let's talk about how the United States and the New York Times media had lied about Nazis in Ukraine. That would be like my first 3 segments, and then the MSNBC president will pull my show in 20 minutes. I'll hold my head high, knowing I lasted on MSNBC for maybe 20 minutes. Meanwhile, Sam Seder goes on MSNBC and spends his time not advocating for Medicare for all. He didn't spend his time calling out corruption, money, and politics. And you guys see, I am talking about issues that they're comfortable with. He didn't even come on MSNBC to push a progressive agenda. They gave him an MSNBC contract, and he made the decision to push Russiagate. And this is the person that believes he's more credible than the Grayzone.
I'm Sam Seder, in for Chris Hayes. Now, it may not come as a total surprise to you to hear that Russia is once again trying to interfere in our presidential election to help Donald Trump. But the twist today is that the Trump administration is the one that is claiming it. This afternoon, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released a statement updating the foreign threat to our elections. Quote, "We assess that Russia is using a range of measures to primarily denigrate former Vice President Biden and what it sees as an anti-Russia establishment. Some Kremlin-linked actors are also seeking to boost President Trump's candidacy on social media and Russian television." Donald Trump's own...
He spent his time. So you get a chance to go on corporate media and you got an MSNBC show. You have an opportunity to blow the minds of the boomer liberals that watch your show. You get exposed to police state. I'm thinking literally mid-segment, like, what the hell would I do my first 3 segments? I'm thinking like, I would do the history of the CIA. I see you, Andrew, in the back. I'm going to bring you in, Andrew. Like, what would you do at segments? Like, the history of the CIA, how the police state hijacked our country, how Zionists hijacked our political system, the history. My first thing was Operation Condor. I would love to talk about the Cuban blockade, how we killed millions of people in Korea and then tricked people into hating North Korea, even though we killed millions of those people and starved them. But we supposed to hate them. Like, I couldn't even choose the first segment I would use to blow the mind of boomer libs. But Sam Seder, on the other hand, chooses to go on MSNBC and pushes Russiagate. Is there anyone more deeply unserious on YouTube than this guy? Anything they can throw shades at Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate, award-winning journalist who does nothing but cover deeply serious stuff? As you went on MSNBC to push Russiagate, the Grayzone was exposing Russiagate, sir. As you smeared Jimmy Dore was exposing Russiagate. Now you gotta see why Jimmy called him MSNBC contract. So this is what he decided to do. Now we all know Russiagate has been launched and discredited. Even the Democrats run away from this, but Sam Seder was there to help spread the agenda. But wait a second, I think I can write the segment up. I'm gonna bring my guests in here. I still have 2 more stories. That was more of a fun story. Actually, let me show you guys Aaron Mate's response to this. I'm gonna show you guys some tweets response, and I'm gonna bring Aaron. I'll bring you in now, Andrew. You ready? Give me thumbs up if you're ready. All right, I'm gonna bring my good friend Andrew in, who has done some amazing activism here recently. We'll cover that here later. But welcome back to RBN, my amazing friend, writer, journalist, amazing activist, my friend Andrew. Welcome to the show once again, brother.
How's it going, Nick? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna get your thoughts. I don't know how much you were watching this. I want to do the first story first because I want to cover. I obviously want to get your take on what's going on in Israel because if you guys don't know, Andrew, very sharp guy. We first met on Calling, but we've been friends ever since then. Because Andrew, very, 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 very intelligent on foreign policy. I'm very interested in your take on that. Before we get to, I want to show you guys. This is Aaron's response to his smear job. I almost forgot. I want to at least show you guys some reaction to this. Aaron Mate says, when it comes to those of who, unlike them, challenge the dumbest conspiracy theory of all time, the whole Trump is a Russian agent thing, some media dupes will never forgive or forget. Accordingly, they'll also remain unable to accurately cite a single thing I've ever said. And that's a great point by Aaron. The real reason why they hate the Grayzone is because Sam Seder made an ass of himself. Here's a tweet. He made an ass of himself pushing Russiagate as his primary journalistic endeavor. It was so important to him. He got offered an hour on MSNBC. Let's immediately go to Russiagate. I love this shit. So then, as he made his entire career off of Russiagate, you had the Grayzone that delegitimized his entire career on the daily without even saying his name, just by debunking Russiagate, and that's why they hate them. That's Sam, at least. Emma, Sam is smart enough to at least to lie to his audience why he don't like it. I don't refollow it or whatever. No, that's why you don't like him, guys, because of Russiagate. Emma just admits that he don't like him because she hated Russia. She pushed the Ukraine war, and Grayzone exposed the Ukraine. Well, you guys see how the real hatred from these people come from the fact that we expose their narrative that they push. But Andrew, I want to get you in here. What any initial reactions, and then we get some substantive stories as well. I want to leave with something fun. They're more of a fun segment. We have to expose these people.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Andrew. Any reaction?
I mean, I don't have too much of a different take. I mean, you really said it. What stories have the majority report? I mean, much less, they haven't broken any stories. They don't really do reporting. What stories have they used their platform to get out ahead of and really try to change the political landscape instead of just telling the audience of MSNBC exactly what they would have heard if Chris Hayes wasn't sick or on vacation or whatever the fuck was the reason he wasn't there? Nothing. I mean, there's been nothing good on the majority report since Michael Brooks died and Jamie Peck was pushed out in favor of Nomiki Konst and Emma Vigeland, who are just, I mean, laughable. They're
Wait, did Nomiki Konst had a job there?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. She was on there for a couple of years, I want to say. And what's funny, so Michael Brooks, for those who don't know, he died, I want to say, in like early 2021, very late 2020 or something. But he used to actually be, definitely worth listening to. I learned a lot of good history on, populist uprisings in Africa and in the Caribbean and in Latin America. He had on good guests like Milton Alamati and other people who would tell some good information. And Nomiki Konst tried to run for a seat. I think it was a local seat in New York. And Sam was like, yeah, we're on here. We're supporting Nomiki's campaign. And Mike was like, well, not everybody's supporting. Like, Michael saw through a lot of the bullshit. He would push back on Sam. Anyways, it's history at this point. But yeah, they're worthless. And I feel the same way about like TYT. I got a question. Do they really have 1 million subscribers still? I mean, on the one hand, you guys are getting heavily suppressed. People constantly unsubscribe from your channel, and people who toe the establishment line from a fake alternative perspective have 1 million plus subscribers and probably less live stream numbers than you do or Sabby does, or certainly than Jimmy does.
Sabby Sabs and Dude Distance beats them all the time now.
Yeah.
And they have, I think TYT has like 5 million. Like, how the fuck you don't? Like, they have live streams that Sabby beats now. You know what I mean? So
yeah, on the regular.
Namiki, now I remember. I think I do remember being on Majority Report, but I know Namiki because she's exactly what I talk about all the time. You know how the establishment picks the weak left opposition, the preferred left.
Yeah,
Namiki Konst is the preferred left, and we can get into how the CIA infiltrated left groups, introduced social democracy as a way to water down labor movements that was led by communists and socialists. But Namiki Konst is like the ultimate representative of the modern weak left social democrat. And that's why she used to get these invites on Fox News. So Fox News, and during the very early days of RBN, we did like maybe 2-3 of these segments and we stopped. Where they used to Fox News used to invite Namiki Konst on their show to present her as the left, and then she would go on Fox News, get destroyed by just an average fucking conservative, and they use that to present the left as a dumbass. They use Namiki. Yeah. Oh, we got a leftist here. She a crazy socialist, and Namiki Konst will sound like a moron on Fox News to make everyone on the left look bad, and then she'll go back on the show and say, yeah, when Fox News did a good job. Like, no, you was there to make us look bad. You just sacrificed
a disaster. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I forgot about that until you just brought it up. That was like,
that's how I know her. Comedy. I know her as the Fox News left lady. Like, she was the person that was on Fox News, make an ass of herself.
Yeah, I think of her as like the classic NATO leftist. I mean,
the worst.
She literally has done like work in think tanks that are extremely closely linked to NATO. I think was very pro U.S. and French, invasion of bombing of Libya. So she's there's no difference between her and Neera Tanden except for some little segment of people think that who think they're on the left, but really they like. I was watching CJ's show. I don't remember if you were on there, but he played that clip of Martin Luther King talking about how the white moderate prefer order to justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the people who prefer order to justice, but want to paint a little tax the rich on their dress. Those are the people who think Nomiki Konst is on the left and think they agree. But you're absolutely right. I mean, putting her on to the public as much as possible as like this is the left, it becomes very easy to discredit that. It's the biggest. She is a straw man. Like she is a straw man for the right wing and for the capitalists to say, yeah, why would you associate yourself with the left? Look at what a disaster. Look what ridiculous bullshit they say when they're given 30 seconds to speak. They can't even make an argument.
They doing I haven't seen no Mickey done this recently. The new one they're using now is Anna Kasparian. Anna Kasparian, like she was on Tim Pool show, made an ass of herself. Not she was on Tim Pool. I'm thinking of David Pakman. I've seen a few clips. It wasn't worth me covering the show, but he went on Tim Pool and got fucking dismantled because he was trying to defend Biden, and they presented him as like a socialist, as a far left person. Yeah. So I didn't see a far left person defending Biden. You guys see what their job? Their job is to make the left seem unappealing. The reason why people hate the left because they think the left, they think of Nomiki Konst. I have rugged, working class, blue collar people that watch RB and that can't stand the quote unquote left. And then the people tell me all the time, like, oh, I used to hate socialists, but I didn't know like your politics I'm actually down with. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'll pass to you and then we get to our next story.
Oh, just real quick. Speaking of Operation Condor, David Pakman, I believe his family's from Argentina, and he is heavily opposed to any actual democracy, anything remotely left wing in all of Latin America. I mean, I believe he even supported the coup against Evo Morales in Bolivia.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah, I remember that. I remember that that being one of the moments where, like, geez, you got no shame, huh?
Yeah,
they always side with the CIA. But go ahead, Andrew.
Well, it's just like, how do you? I mean, it gets kind of to like the point of like, how much is it worth it arguing over the rhetorical territory of what exactly is the left? Because if David Pakman is a leftist, which I would say he's not, but if he counts, then like we're not in the same category at all. He supported Bernie Sanders' campaign, and that's it as far as like domestic policy goes. He supported Bernie Sanders a little bit, but ultimately will vote blue every single time he's asked to, and then supports the most right-wing authoritarianism, literal, torturers in chief and genociders of the indigenous people across Latin America. And he gets to be propped up as this is what a leftist is on like right-wing media.
Yeah. I was just on Jimmy Dore show. Once again, big shout out to Due Distance for inviting us on. I was on the Jimmy Dore show, and I think even Jimmy will admit that he has a large right-wing audience. That's not even an insult. Like even he takes pride in it, and he should. Like that you have left people that watch your show, right people that watch your show. So there are a lot of right-wingers that watch the show. I just went on his show last night, and I advocated for revolution and mutual aid and real left principles. Like I was unapologetically advocating for revolution. I may post a clip on this channel. If you guys missed it, I might post a short clip of our appearance on Jimmy Dore show. I was advocating for revolution, and I look at the comments today, overwhelming praise for many people who are on the right that watch Jimmy Dore show. Meanwhile, those same people, they see the Nomiki Konst and Anna Kasparian, and they can't stomach them. You guys see how the PMC left, they are inefficient. They have an inability to reach the working class. Yesterday on the Jimmy Dore show, I said I hate when people push culture war shit. I said, guys, stop pushing the culture war. We need to focus only on revolution. Look at the clip. That is what I said. Meanwhile, the entire the right wing base of Jimmy Dore audience, like, yeah, I'll fuck with this guy. Meanwhile, Anna Kasparian and the Nomiki Konst, they would never be able to have a conversation with any of these workers. And I'm an open communist Marxist, and Jimmy Dore's audience know that. They know, oh, you're the communist and Marxist, but they like me. Because I am not a shit lib that pushes identity politics and politics on behalf of the Democratic Party. But anyway, let's move on. I'll spend maybe a little bit too much time on that. I want to get to this substance story. I don't know how much you've been following this. I'll break it down if you haven't been following that much anyway. So I'm going to break this down. It's been an ongoing story. You had the media that has been melting down over U.S. troops being attacked in Iraq and Syria. And without any evidence, these people would say, oh, this is because Iran wanted to promote a regional war. That's why they ordering these people in Iraq and Syria to attack United States troops. And I'm like, for one, there's no evidence that Iran is giving these people direction to attack United States troops. They may be happy they're doing that, but there's no evidence. Now think about it. Why would these people who hate the United States need any sort of prize, any motivation to attack United States troops that are illegally occupying their country and stealing 80% of their oil production? Why would they need Iran to motivate them to do that? They do not. Think with your head for once, white America, please. Because every single person is saying that the United States troops are being attacked in the Middle East because Iran is telling them to. If you had Chinese troops that's occupying fucking Madison Square Garden, for example, Chinese troops occupying Madison Square Garden, would the United States need Canada or the UK to tell them to go after those troops? Does that make sense? No, we will fuck them up. We wouldn't need anyone to tell us to go after people invading our sovereign country. So you gotta understand the idea that the mainstream media have been pushing out there that United States troops are being attacked by the order of Iran is absurd. It's absurd.
Remember the Russian?
Go ahead. Feel free to interrupt anytime, Andrew. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, remember the Russian bounties story? It's the same garbage. Like they said, oh yeah, Russia's paying bounties to Afghans who can kill American soldiers. No fucking person in Afghanistan needed any more motivation to kill American soldiers than the ongoing brutal occupation and U.S. soldiers literally for sport killing Afghan people. I mean, you have to really be turning your brain off to believe this. Just it's garbage.
Wow. Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew. I just saw some breaking news, man. I gotta find a way to fit this in somewhere.
Yeah, bring it in.
Maybe during the Yemen story.
Yeah,
bro. So I just saw this. This is breaking. The Biden administration to relist Yemen's Houthis as a terrorist group. Oh, fam, that's huge, dude. So one of the reasons why there's no genocide in Yemen anymore, one of the reasons why there is peace, and one of the reasons why we pick the Ansar Allah off the terrorist group, so we can get aid to people that suffered through the Saudi Arabia blockade. And with the peace arrangement, that was crucial. And now the United States put them back on the terrorist group watch list, caving to the pressures of the right wing once again. But we know how this is a game. They're more than happy to play along with it. I might put this on. Let me take this article.
Well, it's very closely connected. I mean, just to go back real quick to what you were saying about, much less Iran, telling these people to attack American troops. From what I can understand, Iran is trying to kind of tamp down on Hezbollah in both in Lebanon and in Syria and other groups that Iran does provide weapons or funding to. They're trying to kind of keep them on a shorter leash when they're like, what the fuck do you mean hold up? Like, there's an ongoing genocide. We need to do everything that we can. It seems like Iran is still worried about the balance of forces and about repercussions for them, and are not trying to see an escalation in the violence. But go ahead. Yeah, we could move on to Yemen, but just like to the contrary, I feel like Iran is actually trying to cool things down more so than support the Houthi, than tell the Houthis, yeah, go ahead and start this blockade, which is going to make it more
Testing
likely.
used to be simple. It's not anymore.
Sorry, that's you know how the ED websites are.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna watch this video. I kind of derail I'm gonna get back to the Iraq segment. I saw this while I was looking for another article, and I was able these stories are coming out within the next hour. Wow, man! Like, I need to get back on Iraq. This is huge. I gotta do a hotspot video on this tomorrow. Biden administration relists Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis as terrorists. Wow, man. So you have the IDF in Israel they killed 12,000 children. This is a number I got last week. God knows what it is now. So as of last week, they killed 12,000 children. 1,000 children had to have their legs amputated without anesthesia. But the Biden administration says we can't make an assessment on whether Israel committed war crimes. So they can't assess whether Israel committed war crimes or not, but they are assessing the fact that the Ansar Allah are a terrorist organization. Why? Because they are resisting genocide? Our society has gone absolutely crazy, guys. Israel's not terrorists, but they are. The Ansar Allah they are following the Genocide Convention, and despite everything they have done, they have blocked so many ships, they have not killed a single person. And fam, listen to me real quick. This is what they say about Israel. They say, come on, man, why you guys being so hard on Israel? There's no way they can wage this war without civilian deaths. Isn't that what they say, Andrew? Come on, there's no way we can wage these wars in Iraq without killing civilians. There's no way. It's impossible. Meanwhile, Yemen is literally implementing a successful blockade, stopping ships that haven't killed one person. And the response I've seen from Neocon is, oh, well, they haven't killed anyone because they got lucky.
I mean, I haven't even heard people say that. I feel like I just hear people say, well, they're disrupting the global economy, which is clear. You know, the fact that like useless garbage has to be sold over and over again to make a handful of people money is more important to them than any brown person's life in the Middle East. I don't even hear them try to say they got lucky. They'll try to basically.
I seen one tweet when I said that. I wish I saved it. I seen one tweet when I was doing research on this with one guy where someone in the establishment, I don't remember who, they were replying to it. They were like, yeah, well, the reason why they ain't killed no one is because they simply got lucky. Like if you bomb ships, you're usually gonna kill someone. Okay, maybe they made the calculation that no one's gonna die here. Something that Israel does not do, right? Dude, I'm literally seeing all these stories just right now, bro. Like there's a live segment I'm doing right now that was not planned. This is another article I found while I was trying to find something else. This is the second article I'm just finding now. UN calls on Iran-backed Houthis to stop attacks on Red Sea shipping. Has there been any organization that has been discredited more over the last few months, other than any Zionist organization, than the UN? Their ability to prevent a genocide, their resolutions because of the United States veto power, their influence on the international stage has been exposed. So instead of having concrete material ways to end a genocide and call for Israel to end the genocide in Gaza, they are now attacking the people who are following the Genocide Convention that is in the UN Charter. That was you guys that made a Genocide Convention that says that every country that signed on to it has the right and obligation to go after anyone who's complicit with a genocide, not only the state, but in the Genocide Convention, fam, they said even private entities. So white America and Europe completely forgot the laws that they wrote. And then they have the nerve to call us lawless. And I'm speaking in general here. According to them, Muslims are lawless. Black people are lawless. Meanwhile, the Ansar Allah is following international law. You guys are not. America is not following international law. We are illegally occupying Syria and Iraq. We illegally bomb countries like Yemen and Somalia and Africa. We have Israel and the United States that is bankrolling a genocide in the Congo. But people think other countries are lawless? You guys think Russia is lawless? They think black people are lawless? There's no one who have more disrespect towards the law than the mainstream dominant society. The culture implemented in the United States and the UK and Europe.
And they'll tell on themselves. They'll tell on themselves to you too. If you ask them, do you think the US should, follow any number of treaties that they've signed for international that build international law, they'll basically tell you, well, if it works out well for us for business, we should follow it. But otherwise, who's gonna fucking stop us? Like, they don't actually. They'll say in a press conference that they believe in the rules-based international order, which basically means no international law. Or they'll sometimes say international law if they think they can get an easy layup against somebody who might be breaking international law besides them. But if you actually counter these people, they will tell you, no, the U.S. shouldn't be bound to follow its own laws, not to mention international law.
Now you got this handsome devil. I'm straight as hell, guys, but that's a good-looking guy. Yemeni pirates are just posting TikToks as the Western media, and this is coming from him. This is his tweet. This is not my thought. As the Western media, the Western Imperial Corps, as they are having a meltdown about their blockade, you have Yemeni pirates that are being successful. According to the Financial Times, ever since Biden bombed Yemen, they have successfully stopped 70% all shipping since then. So their bombing has been unsuccessful. So these are the videos that are coming out in Yemen. Look at what they're about to do. So Yemen has been so successful that the UN has to come out. You have the United States are forced to designate them as a terrorist group because they're panicking. Because remember, they created Operation Prosperity Guardian. That has failed. The media is hyping up the bombing in Yemen, but that hasn't stopped the attacks on these ships.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
I was going to ask you, how do you read what do you read as the motivation behind labeling them, relabeling them as a terrorist organization? Because I mean, I have some thoughts.
I think it's also I would love to hear what your thoughts are on too, but I think it's also for political purposes because the majority of the world are supportive of what the Insar law is doing, because what they're doing is legal, and that's why what South Africa is doing is so important. Because if they are actually able to get it legally confirmed that Israel's committing a genocide, then that means the genocide convention, based on the genocide convention, what Yemen is doing will be 100% legal, fam, if the ICJ rules against Israel. That's why the United States is trying to get out ahead. This is a 100% political move, and also a way to try to hurt Yemen, because one of the reasons why they put Yemen on the one of the reasons why Biden took them off the terrorist list was because this is when they was doing the peace deal with Saudi Arabia and Yemen, and they wanted to end this war and conflict. And in order to get more aid to the people starving in Yemen, they had to take them off the terrorist list, because international organizations can't give aid to organizations that are terrorists. So that's why it was so important to do that. So that's why this is so significant that they're putting them back on the list. And it shows that the West is in a point of weakness. This is not a strength. Like, I can only imagine what corporate media is saying about this right now. They probably praising Biden for this, but this is not a sign of strength. This is a sign of panicking. Let me answer your question. Andrew, you have anything you want to add before I move on?
No, I agree. I think it's a sign of weakness, because basically it's like reopening sanctions, right? They took Yemen off it took Ansar Allah off the terrorist list so that they could allow aid in for a limited period of time and hold that over their head and say, don't get too, wily, or we'll put the sanctions back on. To me, that screams that they don't have confidence in their military capabilities to actually stop Yemen from doing this. And the other thing, like the other purpose, I think I agree with you also, it's to give a little fig leaf of cover to Europe, Australia, New Zealand, whoever else is going to participate in this attack on Yemen. They can say, well, we're fighting terrorists. We're not just starving everybody. But the other thing is that if they consider them terrorists, then I think the authorization for the use of military force that started the war on terror with Afghanistan and Iraq, I think they can try to bend it to apply in this case and get around the slowly growing opposition in Congress, where Congress at least wants to be asked if you can spend this money to attack Yemen. I think they can try to skirt around that and put money behind the military presence. But I think I agree it's a sign of weakness. I think sanctions from the U.S. have become less and less effective by the month, especially over the last couple of years. And so for them to say they're basically admitting we're going to resort to sanctions as a tool to fight Yemen, I think that shows they're not very confident in their military capabilities, because at this point sanctions are the least effective they've been since the U.S. began to dominate the financial system after World War II.
Dude, I am finding unhinged articles as we speak, bro. This is so funny, man. I need to read a lot of these. I need to bookmark them. I'm gonna read every single one of these articles by the time you guys see me on Thursday. Why Saudi Arabia is staying on the sidelines in the Red Sea conflict. I don't know. I haven't read this article. I'm interested to see what foreignpolicy.com says about this, because as we know, the Ansar Allah controls Yemen. They are the government of Yemen. The reason why there was a genocide in Yemen is because the Ansar Allah kicked the shit out of the Saudi armed forces and the Yemen-backed government that was sponsored by the United States and Saudi Arabia. So you had the Ansar Allah that controlled the capital and all the major infrastructure, and they govern around 80% of the society. And because they lost the war and they view that to be unacceptable, and we see now why the United States and Saudi Arabia was willing to fund the genocide, because the control of the ports in the Red Sea that Yemen has is extremely important. So because they lost the war, Andrew, what do? What do the United States always do when they lose a war? They throw the hissy fit. So the Trump administration, the administration that a lot of dumbasses think is anti-war, they joined Saudi Arabia in doing a blockade of the Ansar Allah government-controlled Yemen as a way to engage in collective punishment on the Yemenis people, because they chose the Ansar Allah over the Saudi-backed puppet regime. You guys understand? That's the history lesson on Yemen that you're going to get on RBN, but now the channels. You guys understand? Please subscribe if you enjoy. That's the reason why there was a genocide in Yemen, because they were salty that the Ansar Allah defeated them. Once again, you guys think Ansar Allah pussy? They don't. The United States and UK do not want this conflict, bro. I swear to God, they don't. What's going to happen is the Ansar Allah is going to beat the UK and US. So then the US and UK is going to inflict pain and suffering on the Yemenis people as a result. And then people are going to attack the Ansar Allah for that. How did the Ansar Allah fault that the United States, UK, and their allies engage in a war crime known as collective punishment? How is it their fault? Like, once again, how is it Hamas' fault that Israel engaged in collective punishment? They said, well, Hamas should never did October 7th. That's why we got 12,000 dead Palestinian children. It's not Hamas' fault that Israel committed war crimes after that. It's not their fault. It's the people that engage in collective punishment that is in the wrong and always should be at the wrong. You guys see how society's fucked up and how we think? But anyway, I only have like maybe 15 minutes before I want to end the stream, so I'm going to continue. This is I actually stopped to cover this story. I'm gonna get into. I already showed you guys the video on Iraq. That was one of the intro videos, so I'm gonna cut that part of this stream. I'm gonna get to the Yemen part to end it on. Once again, I did an intro video where I essentially did a short version of the segment I was about to do. So make sure you guys check out the hotspot that came out on YouTube as well. You can check out that video. Also, make sure you follow Hotspot on Twitter. They're on TikTok. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook as well. So I work very closely with Hotspot. I love those guys. That's Nico's organization. They do amazing anti-imperialist content. They promote Black radicals. I absolutely love Hotspot. So make sure you guys support them. They're very big friends of RBN. And I'm going to do a video about. I'm either going to do a Hotspot about the UN condemning the Houthis, or I'm going to do it on the Yemen being called a terrorist organization. That's definitely what I'm going to do probably tomorrow or Thursday. This next mini segment is about how the conflict in the Red Sea is escalating. This is our friend Nico. Once again, this is Hotspot. That is a great source of anti-imperialist news that exposes the United States government. Here's Hotspot's page. Make sure you gotta check them out on Twitter. Breaking: U.S. vessel has been struck by missile off the coast of Yemen. So shit is getting real. Remember, at the beginning of this conflict, Yemen said they were going to turn the Red Sea into the graveyard of the United States and UK ships. They have since doubled down, and they have another statement that said, "Oh, you guys really want this funk, huh? We are about to double down on everything we're about to do now, fam." And they have. So let's watch this video. And once again, feel free to interrupt anytime, Andrew. I'm not going to get mad.
I just want to update you on that situation that's developing there in the Red Sea. As you can see, the UK Maritime Trade Organization put out this tweet saying that vessel had been hit from above by a missile near Yemen. Now, Ambry, which is a British security firm, has released some more detail about this incident. It says it's a Marshall Island flagged US-owned carrier that was reportedly hit by this missile. They also give a bit more detail about the incident. It says that it was hit and caused a fire in a hold. The vessel remained seaworthy. No injuries have been reported. And also, Ambry says the vessel was assessed not to be Israeli affiliated. Of course, we're not sure at this stage exactly where this missile has been fired from, but of course the Houthis have been targeting shipping passing through the Red Sea, past their territory in solidarity with the situation in Palestine, and saying that it's an attempt to get the Israelis to change the way they are fighting that war, and they're targeting Israeli shipping, where Ambry saying that this is a Marshall Island flagged US-owned carrier. Of course, the Houthis also had said that UK and US targets were now legitimate.
So the Ansar have came out after the bombing that said, all right, every US and UK ship is fair target now. It's for war. Which is why the Biden administration fucked up, man. This is not a war you guys are going to win. Imagine being someone in the military who's young and dumb and being brainwashed. You want to serve your country and you get sent to protect shipping lanes in the Red Sea. Now, I'll play the video. I actually kind of I'm trying to speed this up because I want to make sure I keep these shows nice and condensed for viewing, for easy viewing, right? So this segment is hilarious. I wish I could put the whole thing, but I'm going to cut to the good part. You have MSNBC that, and I will listen to this. I do a ton of research for these shows. So as I was doing my research, listening to a lot of these segments and what the corporate news was saying, my ears perked up at this part because they say the quiet part out loud on why RBN and people who support resistance group support the Ansar Allah. They're going to say why the Ansar Allah is actually in the right. But what makes this clip funny is they say it with a ton of disdain in their voice. You can take what they say right here, add me saying it will sound like a compliment. But they hate Yemen for standing up for what's right, where they get nothing for it. Listen to this. This commentary is hilarious.
Itself the axis of resistance. And I think it's a term.
The Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
So there's a coalition that calls itself the Axis of Resistance, and I think it's
once again that already sounds based, doesn't it, Andrew? The coalition known as the Axis of Resistance. I already want to support them.
Yeah, and he tried to put as much. He tried to put as much like gross sauce on his voice as he could too. It didn't work. It get worse too because they're gonna explain why in this segment, if I remember correctly, because I watched it once. They're going to explain why the Ansar Allah is based. That's what they're about to do. But they hate it. They hate them for it.
So there's a coalition that calls itself the Axis of Resistance. And I think it's a term that people should start being familiar with in the United States. It is a group of militant groups, all backed by Iran. They operate with a degree of autonomy. And the United States is at war right now with this Axis of Resistance. Most obviously.
Why isn't it called U.S.-backed Israel? U.S.-backed France? No, Yemen is its own country. Iraq is its own country. They want to expel U.S. troops. They are resisting their genocide because that is what they want to do as a sovereign nation. You see how they insult their sovereignty? But I'll let it continue.
In Gaza, because Hamas is part of that. The U.S. is trying to deter Hezbollah, which is also part of that. The Houthis are part of that same axis, as are militant groups in Iraq and in Syria. So you have
You mean the people who are trying to force you guys from illegally occupying your country? I'm supposed to be against those people, Andrew? Every single one of those people that they list are based. I'm supposed to be against the people that want to expel troops occupying and stealing 80% of their oil production. You guys know the United States steal a large amount of Syrian wheat production as well. But we supposed to hate this axis of resistance that want to force countries to respect the sovereignty of their nations? So you gotta know the Chinese people proposal. I'll pass to you, Andrew. I think you want to chime in. You gotta know the Chinese people proposal that was supported by the majority of the global South, by Russia, by India, and many countries, called for not only for, it wasn't only about ending the war in Ukraine, it was about a global statement. It was a global declaration of respecting sovereignty of other countries. They say we can end the Ukraine war if we respect the sovereignty, ballot declarations of the Donbass and Luhansk and all these countries that counties in Ukraine that don't want to be a part of the fascist regime. But not only Ukraine, it was about respecting all sovereignty. So if you do that, you can solve the Israel-Palestine issue. Israel support Palestinian sovereignty. You can solve so many issues because of that. You will solve the Syrian issue because the United States wouldn't be allowed to legally occupy Syria because the Chinese peace proposal was all about respecting people's sovereignty. Now do you guys see why the United States opposed that? Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say really quickly, like, it bears repeating, America is the most propagandized country in the world.
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, it's been pretty wild seeing how quickly so many people who really wanted to look away from Israel's, crimes against Palestine, how much they've learned in the last 3+ months. It's been a really, steep learning curve, and a lot of people have been really making it happen. These people who are on this segment, they're assuming that the propaganda machine is still working well enough that they can tell you important information about who the axis of resistance are, where their parts of their faction are. And they almost tell you what you said earlier, which is these people want us out of their region and to stop, doing unspeakable crimes against humanity, against their people. They think that people are still, stupid enough that they're going to see this segment and go, well, they say these people are bad. They're backed by Iran, which means they're Muslim. They're over in that sunny part of the world. So I'm just going to associate axis of resistance with bad stuff. But I think, unfortunately, for the propaganda narrative, how quickly it's crumbled with Israel, I think probably you'll see a pretty similar phenomenon happen in this case, where people already are a little bit primed. They remember Yemen, and they remember seeing tons of starving children who have permanent damage to their brain and the rest of their body for the rest of their life because of the US and Saudi blockade. Then they're going to start seeing people say, you should hate the axis of resistance, and they're in Yemen. And they're going to go, should I hate the axis of resistance? Because I was used to supposed to hate Palestine, and I don't hate them anymore. I think it's going to not work out so well for them.
Let me find a quote, but Malcolm X has a famous quote. If you're not careful, the newspaper will have you hating the people who are oppressed and loving the people who are doing oppressing. Isn't it funny how Malcolm X, his shit never gets old? I have yet to ever see an aged Malcolm X. Well, I'm like, damn, that didn't age well. Never happened. Never happened. You got people cheering against the axis of resistance, against people who are illegally occupying countries. People, you have criminals in our government, and the right wing will acknowledge that there's a deep state that we got to bring under heel. They would say, we hate the corporate media. We don't trust the corporate media. We want to get rid of the deep state. But then they will support the deep state and hate everyone the deep state hate. Are we against the deep state? We are the deeply unserious MAGA babe. We are the Russell Brand supporters. We are against the deep state, but we're going to demonize China. I'm Alex Jones. I hate the establishment, but I want you to be afraid of China. I want you to be afraid of all our enemies. I'm a serious person. Yeah. That is what the populist right is. We are anti-establishment, but we hate everyone the establishment tell you they hate. We hate everyone who resisting oppression, but we anti-establishment. You guys see why I've been calling these people out lately? Actually, no, this is not the article I was on. Let me get back to the video. Because I want to make sure I cover this before we end it. Anything you want to add before we continue, Andrew?
No, yeah, I know we're short on time. I just wanted to make a point after this segment, but I'm good for now.
Yeah, and I'll make sure I want to promote the activism you did recently, so make sure you remind me that we'll end the stream with that. But I won't pull this one up because this happened a few weeks ago. I did a hotspot video on it. That's why I actually love doing hotspot, guys, because I feel like hotspot made my game better. Like doing those videos made me sharper. You know what I mean? Because I one of the few people that report on this. I got my eyes on what's going on in independent media. Not many people voted on the Iraqi vote to expel the United States. That was in the Iraqi parliament, fam. You had an Iraq prime minister calling for this. This is as official as it gets. These are not terrorist groups. These are not rebel groups. These are governments with their parliament voting to expel an illegally occupying power. Meanwhile, the quote-unquote liberal media is trying to paint these people as the bad guys. This is MSNBC, fam. This is not Sean Hannity. This is not Fox News. These are the people that Alex Jones and Russell Brand think of the left establishment. Which is why I'm done allowing these people to spread dumb shit. Because this is the left. The people they think is the left that's saying this. Right? I'll let it continue. And once again, remember, what he is saying is 100% based, but look at how upset they are about the fact that the Ansar Allah is standing for justice.
In Gaza, because Hamas is part of that. The U.S. is trying to deter Hezbollah, which is also part of that. The Houthis are part of that same axis, as are militant groups in Iraq and in Syria. So you
militant groups. You guys see how they call them militant groups? It was the government, you dipshit. The Iraq parliament voted to kick the United States military out. The United States military said, hey, no, we're not leaving. So then these Iraqi fucked up the United States military who illegally occupied those countries. And he is calling those people militants. You guys see how we're in the most propagandized country in the world? And the reason why this actually affected propaganda is because I read like 10 to 15 articles on this. How many people know about the region as much as I do? Not to pat myself on the back, but the average person watching this, Andrew, and this is why it's scary, could easily fall for this. This is not David Pakman propaganda, who we laugh at. This is not the funny Morning Joe shit. This is actually good propaganda, fam. That's why I'm upset. This is the propaganda that actually tricks people. Do you guys agree with me or not? Andrew, anything you want to add? And I'll let it continue after you want to chime in real quick. Or you can pass to me if you want.
No, go for it. Yeah, I'll talk too long. I think we
it's good. I'll let it play a little bit, and I'll get your final thought. I need to wrap the segment up anyway. I wanted to play a little bit more, and then we actually this be the last time. I'll let it play for a long time here, and then we chime in and then wrap the segment up. That's what I'm gonna do.
And in Syria, so you have a network of groups that sometimes coordinate, all backed by Iran, all armed by Iran, but have their degree of autonomy. And I think the general is absolutely right. The Houthis have made it clear they have no intention of backing down because we are now talking about them. They believe that they are on the side of justice. They believe that the United States, some European countries, others that are backing Israel are wrong. That
tell me. Everything that you're saying that the Ansar Law is claiming is 100% true. But sorry, I'll put the late play. I'm sorry, my bad.
They have the moral cause on their side, defending.
I want to play that part again. Listen to what he says. He says undisputedly the facts and pretend that they're wrong. I'm sorry, I really do want to play this part again because I fucked it up and interrupted.
The United States, some European countries, others that are backing Israel are wrong. That they have the moral cause on their side, defending the people of Gaza, the Palestinians, because they say that these attacks are in the name of the Palestinians. So
where's the lie?
Now just coming to terms with the fact that the United States is at war with adversaries who are in a number of countries. So it is immensely complex. But when you combine all of these groups together, and Hezbollah, which so far has kept mostly quiet, carrying out relatively low-level attacks against northern Israel, is by far the strongest party. So when we see this, the Houthis have the most strategic location for the United States perspective, right on the Red Sea, threatening shipping, sending cargo shipping rates skyrocketing around the world. But Hezbollah is a different game. It is the best armed non-government.
So essentially, we can wrap this part up. Essentially, he was like, well, Ansar believe they're fighting for justice. They believe they're in the right cause. These people believe they're fighting for their sovereignty or in the right. You know, the people who believe they're fighting for the sovereignty of the country. He's like, these people believe they're in the right, and we just got to accept the fact that we at war with all these groups in another country. that is across a goddamn ocean. This isn't a whole other. Dude, when white America watch this shit, when Americans watch the corporate media, are you guys realizing they were talking about a whole other ass region of the earth, right? Like in Glenn talk, I mention this all the time because Glenn has a great segment on this where he was like, he's trying to explain to his right-wing American audience, and once again, Glenn is happy about the fact that he got a lot of right-wingers, something he take pride in. He's like, guys, do you understand how crazy, as someone who live in Brazil, when we talk about politics in Brazil, we talk about infrastructure, we talk about budgeting, we talk about all these like domestic issues. That's like 99% of politics in most countries. Meanwhile, in the United States, we are a country that just regularly talk about, oh man, we got these people over here, we about to fuck up, we about to fuck those people up over there, we got to bring these people in this region to hill, we got to occupy this country, we got to fuck those people up. Oh yeah, those people don't agree with us on the economic system. Oh, those people are social, we got to fuck those people. Do you guys know how crazy this is? That is not normal to have a government that is constantly talking about people they want to kill. But I am going crazy because I'm the radical, apparently. The Hill won't invite me on. People don't invite me on because I'm crazy, apparently. Andrew, RBN is crazy, apparently, because we call this out. I feel like I'm being gaslighted to death because we live in a society where people just think it's okay that we have a government that is casually talking about going to war with people, defending their sovereignty. You guys know how crazy this is? Andrew, I pass to you for final thoughts. I know you got a lot to say. Feel free to take your time. Anything you want to add, and then we wrap up here.
I love that guy was trying to say, yeah, you guys know those dumb as fuck recent victims of genocide thinking they're on the right side of history for trying to stop another genocide in their region. They think they have morality. Like that's literally how he tried to paint that. And that's what I'm talking about. I don't think that maybe I misunderstood you, but I disagree about that segment being like good propaganda. I feel like that guy is really going to fuck himself in the ass in a second here when people are like, wait a minute, these people that we were just committing a genocide against are saying that we should not be supporting this other genocide, and I'm supposed to think that's wrong? I don't think people are gonna. I don't know. I guess
what you're saying, brother. I see what you're saying. That's fair pushback.
Maybe I'm overestimating.
Those boomers,
are
terrified of these Houthis.
Yeah,
these boomers hate them some Houthis. The corporate media knows how to scare the boomers. So we see that shit and we like, bro, what? But if someone don't know the history of Alara, or they don't know the history of the Yemen conflict, and they don't know these treaties, they don't know the law like I do. The reason why I say it's good propaganda is because the average ignorant American, I can see falling for that, but I see what you're saying as well. Anything else you want to continue with, Andrew?
Well, one other thing is that, when you look at the list of groups who consider themselves parts of the axis of resistance, you notice that there's almost zero governments that are there. Like the Houthis do at this point effectively have control of most of the state of Yemen. But they come from a very different background from these other, especially like the Arab monarchies and the other Arab governments like in Egypt. These are people who up until this point have been supporting the blockade of Gaza. And I think that I just feel like the point that I want to make is that there is this incredibly strong resistance in the region, and ultimately that will play the biggest role. Yeah, good point, Didi. People, Yemen has been split up recently before, and there was a communist government in South Yemen. But kind of back to the point though, is like,
shout out to Didi. If you guys don't know, Didi she used to expose the deep propaganda against North Korea and propaganda. Like she was really good at covering like Southeast Asia and how the United States intervened in a lot of those countries. And she exposed, and I learned a lot about North Korea from Didi. That's why we're friends. I learned a lot about that from her, and she was so devastating at destroying the North Korean propaganda that Twitter just randomly banned her with no reason given. And unlike most people who are online, we fight to get. She was like, "All right, you guys gonna ban me? I'm out of here. Fuck that." She was, "I'm done. This shit's stupid." So,
I respect it.
She is. She's really a good writer. Also, she helped me edit my Substack. Remember my Substack articles? Big shout out to Didi because she helped me with proofreading and editing some of those articles as well. So big shout out to Didi, friend of the show. Andrew,
Comrade Didi. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, if you use Vietnam as an analogy, the Vietnamese straight up beat the U.S. That war, that's the primary reason that the U.S. had to pull out of that war, is because they were defeated. And I think there will be similar dynamic in this conflict. In it's broader across the Middle East, but right now it's against Palestine primarily and against Yemen now. But I feel like at the same time there was also a heavy component of resistance inside the U.S. And so that's just the point I was going to make, is like, we don't have to spend too much time on it. But I did go to this protest.
Yeah, we can end with that.
Yeah. So this is somebody else who was at this protest wrote this report back. So there's a lot of Boeing facilities in Seattle. Boeing originates in Seattle, but if you just go ahead and go on Google Maps, look up Boeing and set the map to your state. Look up Boeing, Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, General Electric, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman. You will find most likely that there are multiple arms manufacturers who are building bombs and whatever other weapons of war to help Israel massacre Palestinians, or to have the U.S. directly shoot at Yemen. So ultimately, I have the most faith in this axis of resistance. I think that they will be the defining factor in Palestinian survival and in Israel's decline. But I also think that you need to be looking for ways that you can, if you can, play a part inside the U.S. You can physically, legally protest these companies, blockade their war goods from leaving. And I will say that this protest was pretty small, but I still think it was relatively effective for having less than 100 people. Just the fear of this protest beforehand. We were talking to some Boeing employees. They shut down the second shift, and we blockaded.
Oh shit!
Yeah, we blockaded most of their parking lot, although we didn't have quite enough bodies to get every possible entrance safely, because it's not just Boeing. It's like this big. It's a county airport that lends out, or sold on the cheap facility, space to Boeing to manufacture weapons. But like, you don't, I think that if you can, you should try to take part in some type of a movement that will bring out huge numbers. But from my experience, it's very difficult to just make that happen. Even if you have a good cause, even if you have good messaging, that stuff is kind of this like organic process that is a little hard to predict sometimes when it's going to pop off.
And sometimes these actions are like the fuse needed to ignite something larger. You never know. We just got to take our shots. Sometimes you do these and nothing happens. But when you put these demonstrations, this is why we was for the March for America for all. I was for every single anti-war protest. I didn't give a fuck what people said. Every single one. I didn't give a fuck. Because just by having this stuff, it puts the energy out there necessary and primes the people for revolution. You can't just spark a giant anti-war movement. It's these actions that add up and accumulate. And maybe there's something, maybe there's a psychosis in society that maybe lead a certain anti-war action to create something larger. But this is great stuff, man. Like, this is exactly the kind of stuff that RBN advocates for. And this is why I got a lot of respect for Andrew and his work and his opinion. Because as I mentioned before, not only is Andrew an intellectual, he's out there doing the damn work. He's out there actually doing effective activism, like putting the fear of God into Boeing employees and Boeing as a company. This is fantastic stuff. If you want to add any more information, I would love to have the people on as well. Like, who organized it? This is the last question I have. Who organized it? Like, how did this come about? And is there any plans on the future to do anything like this and people in the Seattle area? If you guys don't know, me and Andrew, we had fun time when I was in Seattle last year at Work Strike Back. That with me and Andrew, we had a good time. Very smart guy. So maybe we may do it again one day. But any last thoughts on this action before you wrap up, Andrew?
Yeah. So first of all, there's definitely going to be more coming. There's numerous different groups besides the couple of groups that were mostly involved in organizing this in Seattle. There is a Jewish Voice for Peace kind of regular actions going on. There's also Palestinian as a Palestinian organization. There's Super UW, which is a bunch of University of Washington students that have been doing a lot of on-campus protests. A bunch of them got arrested. blockading the dean's office the other day. So there's all kinds of stuff going on. And I guess there's the Feminists for Gina is a mostly like Iranian feminist organization, was one of the key organizers. There were also some people kind of low key, not necessarily like the whole organization, but there's the Black Lives Memorial Garden helped us share the messaging for this. We had all kinds of people from different groups. And so one thing that we're trying to figure out is like, how can we continue to respect the diversity of tactics? You know, a lot of the people that came to this protest were more like anarchist leaning. A lot of the people that might go to the Palestinian protests or organizing there might be more communist leaning. And one thing we're trying to kind of dissect right now and figure out how do we make like good workable plans for getting more groups to work together and not be caught up over, well, I believe in this exact type of left politics, but really I think we can get on board with doing a lot more stuff like this. And we have seen a lot of like cross support from people from different groups, and we will have more actions. I can't necessarily say exactly what they will be, but they will be on a regular basis in the Seattle area. And again, look around wherever you are in the country, guarantee you're within driving distance of multiple arms manufacturing centers. I mean, it's crazy how many are just in Washington. Maybe there's a little more there than, I don't know, like North Dakota or something, but you never know. There's something that you can do. And if you're not sure if there's going to be huge numbers, again, take your shot. It's not the end of the world. You start somewhere and you build. And eventually, hopefully that will snowball into this larger movement. And while you're on your way taking these little shots, make sure those little shots are taking dollars out of the bank accounts of these companies. I think that's one of the most important things. Like you may not always have good media coverage. Even if you do have good media coverage, it still might not get that spark. But you can at least look back at your action and think, I made an appreciable dent in their profits, and we met 15 new people today who are cool as fuck and are down to keep doing this with us. So that's all I really have to say is give it a shot.
Well done, man. Well done. Very proud of you for doing this. And I knew Andrew for a while. I always do great activism. So, and that's something I want to do with my RBN branch. Like I have engaged in mutual aid, community building here. But one thing I'm gonna do as we grow as an organization, maybe have more funding. Funding was just tough over the winter and over the holidays. And that's why you guys know I haven't been asking, because I'm like, bro, things are tough. My family going through stuff right now. I know a lot of people going through stuff right now. So funding for mutual aid is kind of tough right now. That's how it is, and when you're building community. But one thing I can see happening this year is, I would love to, maybe next year or so. I'm like, this is new for me, but I really want to put myself out there and grow as a leader in the space. Like these are goals I set for myself. I'm not there yet. But like, imagine if I can like organize anti-war protests in Kansas City. You know what I mean? Well, imagine if I start this anti-war movement in the Midwest. These are things I think about. I'm not there yet. I have a lot of work to do to get to where I'm at. Like, and there's a lot of pressure. Like there's always this expectation for you to do more. Like I try to do my best, but I have high expectations. I have a lot of dreams of grandeur about what RBN can accomplish. The PMC class, the TYT class, the majority report class, they mock us all the time. Like, oh, look at these RBN people. They think they're going to start a revolution. Who the fuck these niggas think they are? We are kind of delusional, man. Like, I am delusional. When we call ourselves Fred Hampton leftists, we fucking meant that shit. Like, nigga, my goal is to be this generation Fred Hampton. And I don't know how long that's going to take. I don't know how many fucking articles I had to read. I don't know how many fucking Marxist books I had to read. I don't know how many fucking experts I had to talk to. But that's my goal, man. It sounds ambitious, but no one else is stepping up to the plate. I wrote an article years ago where I'm like, where's the next fucking Fred Hampton? Why the fuck we don't have any more? I'm like, so we gotta be changed to see. Right now, Rome is that guy. Like no one talks about these people at the time like that. You know what I mean? But if Rome continues what he's doing right now with his library, with the tour report, this motherfucker is gonna go down in revolutionary history. So I look at those people. That's what I see going on in Kansas City. I would love to see that happen, but we see, man, it's new for me, but I would love to kind of do that stuff. That's why in fact, I was like, we need to organize something together one day, because Andrew, he's really good at that kind of stuff. But anyway, with that said, we gotta have Andrew back on. I'll reach back out to you guys. The Jimmy shows, the shows with the Grayzones, all those are fun. But with this channel, I want to focus on these activists that are extremely slept on. You know what I mean? Intellectuals who I feel slept on. That's why I had to solve Rod on last week as well. These people that are not featured as I think they should. So that's what you're going to see at Nick and Night. You guys will see Andrew back on. You guys will see great people like Asala back on. You guys will see Lucy. I had Blue Moon, Red Wine, who also very slept on when it comes to historic knowledge. I'm talking about like we haven't got to like your history knowledge. So we got a lot covered, and that's what we're going to do at Nick and Night. We're going to bring people on who are slept on, who are intellectual, who know their shit, and who engage in activism. Like Lucy, who we had on last week, she was the person who cussed out AOC in Spanish in that viral video last year. So on this channel, on this program, Tuesday and Thursday evening, Saturday at noon, you're going to see real activists, real intellectuals. That's our program on Nick at Night RBN. So thank you for joining us once again, Andrew. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a good night, guys. Peace out.